Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something you might not always think about, but it really has a huge impact on your work as technical writers, documentation specialists, and IT professionals.
Oh.
We're talking about government policies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We'll be looking at an article by Curt Robbins, who's a senior technical writer. He's got a pretty impressive background, having worked with companies like FedEx, Microsoft, even Northrop Grumman, PNC Bank, USAA, and Wells Fargo.
Wow, that's quite the resume.
So we're really excited to kind of dig into his insights and see what we can uncover.
Yeah, what's really fascinating to me is how government policies can shape the entire landscape of technology.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not just about, funding research. It's about setting priorities, accelerating certain areas, and even redirecting how technology evolves. These policies influence what technologies get developed, how fast they advance, and even the skills that are going to be in demand.
Absolutely. And Robbins really highlights four key areas where we're seeing this play out. The first one is AI. Then we have infrastructure modernization, workforce development, and lastly, support for emerging technologies. So he's really suggesting that for technical writers, this translates into a wave of new opportunities.
I can definitely see that.
Think about it, right? As AI systems become more and more complex, who's going to explain how they work? Who's going to create those really detailed user guides? And who's going to develop the API documentation that everyone relies on?
Yeah, it's funny you mention API documentation because a lot of people might not even realize what that is.
Yeah.
It's kind of this hidden language, right? APIs are the languages that different software systems use to communicate with each other.
Hmm.
So API documentation is essentially a guide that explains this language to developers so they can build applications and integrate these complex systems. Without clear API documentation, it would be nearly impossible for developers to work with these
It'd
technologies.
be chaos, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not just about software either.
Right.
Robbins points out that large-scale infrastructure projects also generate a huge demand for technical documentation.
Mm.
When governments invest in, let's say, upgrading things like transportation systems or modernizing the power grid, you need a whole ecosystem of information to support those projects.
Absolutely. Think about it. Manuals, procedural documentation, safety guidelines, compliance reports. The list goes on and on. And then there's the growing need for specialized documentation in areas like cybersecurity.
Oh, that's a huge one right now.
Huge. With all these data breaches and cyber attacks happening all the time, organizations need clear guidelines, incident response plans.
Hmm.
Technical writers who can create this type of documentation are going to be in high demand.
It's interesting because it's not just a matter of more documentation. It's about the specific skills and expertise needed to create it.
For sure.
And I love how Robbins dives into some of these fascinating niche opportunities that are emerging in fields like quantum computing, space exploration, and defense and security.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about quantum computing for a second. It's a field that's still in its early stages, but with a lot of government funding pouring in.
It's really exciting.
It is. Imagine a computer that can solve problems in seconds. That would take our traditional computers thousands of years. That's the potential of quantum computing.
I mean, that's mind-blowing.
It is.
So naturally, someone needs to explain how all of that works.
Exactly. And that's where technical writers with specialized knowledge will come in. They'll be responsible for translating these incredibly complex concepts into clear and concise documentation.
Yeah.
And then there's space exploration.
Oh, wow.
Right. As agencies like NASA invest in these ambitious missions, there's a growing need for writers who can document everything,
I can only imagine.
from spacecraft design and mission procedures to safety protocols and scientific findings.
Wow. So what we're seeing here is that government policies, whether it's through funding, legislation, or partnerships, are having a direct impact on the types of documentation needed and the skills that are in demand. And it's not just about keeping up with existing technologies, it's about being prepared for the future too.
That's a key point. For technical writers, it's about being proactive and recognizing these emerging trends. It's about understanding how government support for workforce development initiatives can play a role in your own career trajectory. Think subsidized courses, certifications in specialized areas like cybersecurity or cloud computing, and even access to online learning platforms and mentorship programs.
It seems like there are a lot of potential upsides for technical writers in this evolving landscape.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But what about the challenges? Are there any downsides we should be aware of?
Well, one of the things that Robbins addresses is the increasing complexity of regulations.
Ah,
You see, as governments try to keep pace with all this innovation, they introduce new regulations to address ethical concerns, ensure safety, and protect consumer rights. While these regulations are often necessary, they can create a lot of headaches for the people who have to document it all.
right. I can definitely see how that would be a
It
challenge.
is.
You're essentially adding another layer of complexity to an already complex job.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of what these regulations might look like in practice?
Sure. Take GDPR, for example.
GPR.
Yeah, the General Data Protection Regulation. It sets very strict rules for how companies can collect and use personal data. Now imagine you're writing documentation for any software or system that handles personal data.
Yeah.
You need to be fully aware of those GDPR guidelines and make sure your documentation reflects them.
So it's not just about explaining how the technology works.
No.
It's also about understanding the legal and regulatory framework surrounding it. That definitely adds a whole new dimension to the role of a technical writer.
Absolutely. And it's not just GDPR either. As artificial intelligence systems become more ingrained in our lives, we're seeing more regulations related to bias, transparency, and accountability in AI.
Oh, for sure.
Technical writers will need to be up to speed on those as well.
So on top of all that technical expertise, now technical writers need to be well-versed in all these legal and ethical implications of technology. That sounds like a lot to keep up with.
It definitely is. And Robbins brings up another challenge, job market volatility.
Oh.
As government policies change and funding priorities shift, certain sectors might see a boom, while others face a downturn.
Right.
This could create some uncertainty, especially if your expertise is very specific to a particular industry.
So how can technical writers kind of stay ahead of the curve? And how can they make sure that their skills remain relevant in such an unpredictable environment?
Well, Robbins offers some great advice for navigating all of this. One of the biggest things he emphasizes is the importance of continuous learning and diversification.
Oh, interesting.
For example, if you've been heavily focused on documentation for fossil fuel energy systems, it might be wise to start exploring renewable energy technologies as well.
That's great advice. It's all about adaptability and recognizing those signals of change early on.
Precisely. And speaking of change, we can't ignore the elephant in the room:
What's that?
automation.
Oh, yeah.
You've touched on how AI can be a really valuable tool for technical writers, but is there a risk that it could eventually replace them altogether?
That's the question a lot of people are asking, not just in our field, but across so many professions. Is AI coming for our jobs?
Robbins acknowledges this concern and suggests that while some roles might be displaced, especially those involving highly repetitive tasks, he believes that augmentation is more likely than complete replacement. He envisions AI tools becoming increasingly sophisticated assistants, helping writers work more efficiently and effectively. Think of it as AI taking on the tedious parts of the job, freeing up human writers to focus on the creative aspects and the more complex problem solving.
That's reassuring to hear. It seems like a lot of the fear surrounding AI comes from this idea of it being a job-stealing robot, but perhaps it's more about learning how to work alongside these tools and leverage their capabilities.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that AI can be a powerful ally for technical writers, helping us do our jobs better and faster.
Yeah.
But this also brings up some important considerations, especially as AI becomes more involved in content creation.
I'm guessing you're talking about those ethical and legal issues we discussed earlier.
Precisely. As AI starts generating content, we need to think carefully about issues like bias, transparency, and accountability. How do we ensure that AI-generated content is accurate, fair, and aligned with human values?
So it sounds like technical writers are facing a future filled with both exciting possibilities and complex challenges. What steps can they take to thrive in this evolving landscape?
Well, Robbins offers some excellent advice for those who want to stay ahead of the curve. Okay. He emphasizes the importance of staying informed about government initiatives and technological advancements, particularly in areas like AI infrastructure and emerging technologies.
So it's about keeping your finger on the pulse of what's happening in your field
Yes.
and anticipating how those changes might impact your work. What else does Robbins suggest?
He also encourages technical writers to embrace new tools,
Okay.
especially AI-powered tools that can help automate tasks, assist with content generation, and even aid in translation and localization.
So not just understanding the technology, but actually using it to enhance our work.
Mhm.
Can you give us some specific examples of these tools?
Certainly for content creation, platforms like Jasper AI and Grammarly are becoming increasingly sophisticated.
Yeah,
They can help you generate text, refine your writing style, and even catch those pesky grammatical errors.
I think a lot of us are already familiar with tools like Grammarly,
Right.
but it sounds like AI is taking those capabilities to a whole new level.
It is. And for managing knowledge and documentation, there are tools like Confluence and Notion. These
Oh.
platforms allow you to collaborate with teams, organize information, and create interactive documentation hubs.
It seems like the key theme here is collaboration,
Yes.
not just between humans, but also between humans and machines.
Exactly. And Robbins stresses the importance of building strong relationships, not just with other writers, but also with engineers, product managers, and legal teams.
It makes sense, right? Technical writing isn't done in isolation. You need to understand the needs of all stakeholders and create documentation that effectively addresses those needs.
Precisely. And by fostering collaboration, technical writers can also play a more active role in shaping policies and standards related to their field.
That's a powerful point.
And finally, Robbins encourages technical writers to expand their skill sets and stay ahead of the curve. This could involve pursuing certifications in fields like AI, cybersecurity, or cloud computing, learning programming basics to better understand how code works, or even developing skills in data visualization and multimedia content creation.
So it's about continuously investing in yourself and developing those skills that will make you an invaluable asset in this ever-evolving technological landscape.
Exactly. By being proactive, adaptable, and always learning, technical writers can position themselves for success and even shape the future of their profession.
That's a very empowering message.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up, I'd love to hear your final thoughts on this topic. What key takeaways should our listeners be pondering as they navigate this world of government policies and emerging technologies?
Well, it all boils down to this. You're not just a writer, you're a translator, a bridge between these complex technologies and the people who need to understand and use them. And as government policies kind of push these advancements, your role becomes even more important.
I like that. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From that potential boom in documentation needs to the challenges of keeping up with regulations and automation. It's a lot.
It is. And we've seen how AI, it can be both a potential threat and a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Embracing these new tools, understanding their limitations, and advocating for those ethical guidelines will be super important.
Couldn't agree more. So to everyone listening out there, whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started in technical writing, remember this. The future is full of challenges and opportunities. And
Yeah, and here's something to really think about. If AI can take over some of those tedious, time-consuming tasks, what does that free you up to do? What new skills or areas of expertise could you explore to make yourself truly indispensable?
thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of government policies and their impact on technical writing. We'll see you next time.